The SSA will hand you a pamphlet and smile. What they will not do is tell you what filing at 62 actually costs you for the rest of your life. Most people find out the hard way years after signing those forms when nothing can be done about it. Here's what they are not telling you. The first thing that hits you is the permanent reduction to your monthly benefit, and the word permanent is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Your full retirement age, if you were born in 1960 or later, is 67. File at 62, and you are filing 5 full years early, and the SSA cuts your monthly payment using a formula that comes out to roughly 30% less than your full retirement age amount. If your full benefit at 67 would have been $2,000 a month, filing at 62 gets you approximately $1,400 instead. Most people hear that and think they understand the deal they are making. What they almost always miss is what that reduction does to them over the full length of a retirement. Every year, the SSA sends you a cost of living adjustment. That raise is calculated as a percentage of whatever you are already receiving. If your monthly check is $1,400 and the annual COLA is 3%, you gain $42. The person who waited and collected $2,000 gains $60 from that exact same adjustment. Year after year, the gap between those two retirees gets wider rather than smaller because both of them are stacking increases on top of completely different starting points. The person who filed early is not just receiving less money right now. They are falling further behind with every passing year as compounding works against them quietly in the background. Across a 25-year retirement, that dynamic accumulates into a financial gap far larger than the simple monthly difference suggests on the surface. Over a 20-year retirement, that $600 monthly difference amounts to roughly $144,000 fewer dollars in total lifetime benefits under standard assumptions. That is the number worth knowing before you put pen to paper. And here is the other end of the spectrum that almost never gets clearly explained. For every year you delay Social Security past your full retirement age, all the way until you turn 70, your monthly benefit grows by 8% per year. A person with a $2,000 full retirement age benefit who waits until 70 would receive approximately $2,480 a month for the rest of their life. The spread between filing at 62 versus waiting until 70 on that single benefit record is more than $1,000 every single month, growing from a higher COLA base with every year that passes. Most people standing at the SSA counter are only thinking about when the checks start arriving, not about the full arc of what that one decision controls across a 30-year retirement. The second thing the SSA does not lead with is the retirement earnings test, and it blindsides working retirees constantly. If you claim at 62 and you are still pulling in wages or self-employment income, your benefit does not simply arrive in full the way you would expect. For 2025, if your earned income exceeds $22,320 during the year and you have not yet reached full retirement age, the SSA withholds $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn above that threshold. If you are earning a solid working income alongside your early Social Security checks, a meaningful portion of those monthly payments can be held back entirely, sometimes to the point where the deposits stop arriving for months at a stretch. The SSA does recalculate your benefit slightly upward at full retirement age to partially credit back the withheld months, but that adjustment is incomplete. It plays out gradually over years, and it does nothing to undo the permanent early filing reduction you locked in on day one. The retirees who get caught by the earnings test are almost never trying to game anything. They simply never heard the rule existed because nobody at the SSA mentioned it before they walked out with their application submitted. To put a concrete number on it, if you are earning $40,000 a year and collecting Social Security at 62, you are earning $17,680 above the 2025 threshold. The SSA would withhold $8,840 in benefits that year, which works out to roughly $737 a month being held back from your checks. Most people do not run that calculation before they file. Third is the survivor impact, and this is the one married couples almost never see coming until it is too late. When you file at 62 and lock in a reduced benefit, you are not only setting your own retirement income, you are establishing the figure your spouse may depend on for the rest of their life after you are gone. Survivor benefits allow a widow or widower to collect the higher of their own benefit or their deceased spouse's benefit. But if the spouse who died first spent years collecting a permanently reduced early filing amount, the survivor inherits that reduced number as their ceiling. In couples where one partner has significantly higher lifetime earnings, that person's benefit is often the dominant monthly income the surviving spouse will depend on for 15 or 20 years after the higher earner is gone. Filing that larger benefit at 62 does not only cost that person money during their own lifetime, it directly reduces what their spouse lives on during the most financially vulnerable years of their own life. Most couples sitting across from the SSA representative are not thinking about the decision in those terms, and the SSA representative is not going to frame it that way for them. Fourth is a rule change from 2016 that significantly affects married couples and that rarely comes up at the counter. Before 2016, some married filers used a strategy called a restricted application to claim spousal benefits first while letting their own retirement benefit continue growing. That option no longer exists for most people. Today, if you file for Social Security retirement benefits before your full retirement age, you are automatically deemed to have filed for every benefit you are eligible for at that moment, including spousal benefits. You cannot claim one type and allow the other to keep building. The SSA pays you whichever amount calculates higher, and the alternative is gone. For couples who are counting on managing their two benefit streams independently to maximize their combined retirement income, this is a meaningful constraint that changes the math on early filing in ways many people never factor in. Fifth is the break-even math. The SSA will not produce unless you ask directly. The early filer builds a genuine head start by collecting 5 additional years of payments while the person who waited is still working toward full retirement age. That is real money accumulated early. But from age 67 forward, the person who waited picks up $600 more every single month, and that monthly advantage steadily erodes the head start. Running the numbers, the break-even age typically falls around 78 to 80, depending on your specific benefit amount and cost of living adjustments. If you live past that crossover, waiting paid more in total lifetime income. A meaningful share of today's 62-year-olds will reach their late 70s. The SSA will process your application either way. Sixth, and almost nobody hears this before they sign, is the 12-month withdrawal rule. If you file at 62 and later decide it was the wrong move, you have one real window to undo it. Within 12 months of your original filing date, you can submit a document called a withdrawal of application, repay every dollar of benefits you received, and have your record completely reset as if you never filed. You go back on track toward a higher benefit, and none of the early filing reduction carries forward. The repayment must be complete and must happen inside that 12-month window. You get this option once in your lifetime. It is fully legitimate and almost never mentioned before people submit their original paperwork. Finally, there is the Medicare gap. Social Security and Medicare feel like they belong to the same retirement package, but they operate on entirely separate timelines. Medicare eligibility begins at 65, regardless of when you claim your Social Security benefit. File at 62 and you will be receiving reduced monthly checks for 3 full years before you qualify for any Medicare coverage at all. During that window, you are completely responsible for your own health insurance costs, whether through a former employer's retiree plan, the ACA marketplace, a spouse's employer coverage, or another arrangement you locate and fund on your own. For many early filers, particularly those managing ongoing health conditions or prescription costs, the real monthly price of bridging that 3-year gap can consume a meaningful share of, or in some cases, completely offset the head start those early Social Security payments seem to offer. Claiming at 62 is not always wrong. For people with genuine health concerns and a realistically shorter life expectancy, for those without an alternative income source who need the money right now, or for couples where one partner carries a substantially stronger earning record that anchors the survivor benefit side of the equation, early filing can absolutely be the right call. But making that decision with the full picture in front of you is a fundamentally different thing from making it, because nobody at the SSA walked you through what you were actually agreeing to before you signed. The Social Security timing decision is not a form you fill out. It is one of the largest financial decisions of your retirement. And the SSA's job is to process it, not to protect you from making it wrong. Understanding what is on the table before you walk in is the only thing that gives you a real choice. If this gave you something genuinely worth knowing today, subscribe, because this is what we publish every single week on this channel. And if you are working through the Social Security timing question yourself right now, drop your situation in the comments. We read every one.